He promised me a house, a wedding, and a timeline on day 1. By day 90, I was staring at my phone, reading the same promise again, and my hands were shaking because I finally understood that the most dangerous manipulation is not the lie you can see coming. It is the beautiful future that keeps you paralyzed in an empty present. Let me take you back to day 1. Because on day 1, I thought I had won the lottery. We met at a coffee shop. I had been single for 2 years, deliberately single, because I'd spent the time working on myself. I knew what I wanted: partnership, honesty, someone who showed up consistently. I had my checklist ready, my boundaries drawn. I thought I was prepared. He walked in wearing a navy sweater that matched his eyes, and when he smiled at me, I felt that chemical rush I had forgotten existed. But it was not just an attraction. It was the way he looked at me, like I was the only person in the room, like I was the answer to a question he had been asking his entire life. We talked for 4 hours. 4 hours felt like 40 minutes. He asked me questions no one had ever asked me before. Deep questions. What did I dream about? What did my ideal life look like? What were my biggest fears? And when I answered, he leaned in. He remembered every detail. He made me feel seen in a way I had been craving without even knowing I was starving for it. By the time we left that coffee shop, he had already painted our future. He told me about the house he wanted to buy, the kind with a big backyard and a porch where we could drink coffee on Sunday mornings. He described our future kids, told me he had been looking for someone like me his whole life. I remember driving home that night, thinking, this is it. He texted me that night, I cannot stop thinking about you. I feel like I have known you my whole life. I fell asleep smiling. Day 2 through day 14 were a blur of intensity. We texted constantly. He sent me good morning messages before I even woke up. He sent me photos of houses he had been looking at online. Our houses, he called them. He talked about our wedding, asked me what kind of flowers I liked, and told me his mother would love me. I had never experienced anything like it. My friends called it love bombing, but I brushed them off. They were just jealous, I thought. This was just a man who knew what he wanted. On day 10, he took me to an open house, an actual open house for a property he said we could afford together. We walked through the rooms, and he held my hand, describing where we would put our furniture, which room would be the nursery, where he would build me a reading nook because I had mentioned once that I loved reading. I was so deep in the fantasy that I did not notice the inconsistencies. I did not notice that when I asked him practical questions about his job, his answers were vague. I did not notice that he never introduced me to his friends or family, despite talking about them constantly. What I did notice was how he made me feel. Special, chosen, loved in a way that felt almost spiritual. Day 15 was the first time I felt that small twist in my gut, that feeling you get when something is slightly off, but you cannot quite name it. We had made plans to meet for dinner. I had been looking forward to it all day. He canceled 20 minutes before we were supposed to meet. Emergency at work, he said. But when I called him to make sure everything was okay, he sounded fine, normal. When I mentioned this, he got quiet, then said, "You do not trust me." The way he said it made me feel like I had done something wrong, like I was being controlling. I apologized. I actually apologized for being concerned. He told me he loved that I cared and promised we would have an even better date the next day. We did not have a date the next day, but the day after that, he showed up at my apartment with flowers and takeout. He showed me a Pinterest board he had made of engagement rings. He asked me which one I liked best. I chose the oval diamond. He saved the image and told me he would remember. This became the pattern. He would cancel plans, disappear for a day or two, then reappear with grand gestures and grander promises. Each time he came back, the future he painted became more detailed, more specific, more real. By day 30, he had given me a timeline. We would move in together by month 6, engaged by month 12, married by month 18. He had it all planned out. He just needed to get a few things in order with his job, his finances. I asked him once what specifically needed to get in order. He got defensive immediately. He told me I was pressuring him, that I was not being supportive. I felt terrible. I apologized. I told him I believed in him, in us, and that I would be patient. That was the first time he made me doubt my own reasonable questions. That was the first crack in my reality. Day 45, the smaller promises started breaking. He said he would call at 8. He would not call at all. He said he had bought tickets to a concert I wanted to see. The tickets never materialized. Every time I brought up these broken promises, he redirected me to the bigger picture. Why was I focused on small things when we were building a life together? Why was I being so negative? I stopped bringing up the small things, but something in me was starting to fracture. I started having trouble sleeping. I would lie awake, replaying conversations, trying to figure out what I had done wrong. Day 60 was when I met his friend Jake by accident. We ran into him at a bar, and Jake looked genuinely surprised to see me. He shook my hand and said, "Oh, so you are real. I thought he was making you up." My boyfriend laughed it off, but something in Jake's tone stuck with me. It was a genuine surprise. Later, when I asked why Jake would say that, my boyfriend's answer came too fast. Jake was kidding, he said, but the explanation felt rehearsed. I started paying attention differently after that, not just to what he said, but to what he did not say, not just to his promises, but to his actions. He would promise me the world in text messages, but cancel in-person plans. He would describe our future in intricate detail, but could not commit to plans next week. Day 70, I asked him directly about the house we had looked at. Had he talked to the bank? Had he checked his credit score? Had he done any practical steps that would turn this dream into reality? He exploded, not with yelling, but with that icy, controlled anger that feels more frightening than rage. He told me I was being controlling, that I was obsessed with timelines, that if I kept pressuring him like this, he did not know if he could do this anymore. I felt the ground drop out from under me. I panicked. I backtracked. I apologized for what felt like the 100th time. He softened then, pulled me close, told me he knew I was just anxious, that everything would work out if I just trusted him. I trusted him, even though that voice in my head was screaming now instead of whispering. Day 75, he told me he got a promotion at work, a big one. This was it, he said. This was the thing that would make everything possible. He took me out to celebrate. He ordered champagne. I asked him about the details. What was his new title? When did he start? He got vague. He changed the subject. When I pressed gently, he accused me of ruining the moment. I dropped it, but I remembered. And that night, lying next to him after he'd fallen asleep, I stared at the ceiling and felt something break inside me. Just a quiet snap, like a thread giving way. Day 80, I looked him up online. Really looked him up. LinkedIn, Facebook, public records. I felt guilty doing it, but that gut feeling would not leave me alone. It was keeping me up at night. It was making my stomach hurt. What I found did not match what he had told me. His job title was not what he had said. His company was smaller than he had described. There were gaps in his work history. His LinkedIn had not been updated in 2 years. The promotion he just told me about, not there. I did not confront him immediately. I watched. I started documenting. I took screenshots. I wrote down promises and dates in a notebook. And the gap between what he said and what actually happened was a canyon. This is when I started understanding something that made my blood run, freezing. He was systematically rewriting reality. When I would bring up something he had said, he would tell me I misheard. When I would reference a promise, he would tell me I was remembering wrong. When I would point out an inconsistency, he would tell me I was being irrational. But I was not. I had the screenshots. I had the texts. I had the dates written down. And yet, he was making me feel unhinged for having a memory. My body was keeping score. I started feeling anxious in a way I had not felt in years. I started second-guessing everything I said. I started feeling like I was walking on eggshells, trying not to be too needy, too controlling, too negative, too much. Day 85, we had the fight that changed everything. He canceled on me again. This time, I did not apologize. I told him calmly that this pattern was hurting me, that I needed consistency. He told me I was making things up. He said he had never canceled that much. He said maybe I needed to talk to someone about my trust issues. I pulled out my phone. I showed him my calendar with all the canceled plans highlighted. I showed him the texts where he had promised things that never happened. I had evidence. He stared at the phone for a long moment. Then he looked at me with something I had never seen in his eyes before, something cold. He said, "You have been keeping track? That is deranged. You have been building a case against me like I am some kind of criminal? This is completely out of line." He turned it on me so fast, I got whiplash. Suddenly, I was the bad guy for noticing. I had a problem with having a memory. He left my apartment. I sat on my couch, shaking, staring at the evidence on my phone, wondering if I really was losing it. I called my best friend. I read everything to her, everything. She was quiet for a long time when I finished. Then she said, "He has been rewriting your reality for 3 months. You are not unhinged. You are finally seeing clearly." Day 90. The day I got that text about the house again. The same promise, the same words, the same carrot dangling in front of me, just far enough away that I could never quite reach it. I looked at that text and something clicked into place. This was never about building a future. This was about keeping me hoping for one. Every promise was a hook. Every grand gesture was a reset button. Every time I got close to walking away, he would paint the picture again, and I would stay. The house was never real. The engagement ring was never real. The timeline was never real. What was real was his need to keep me invested without actually investing anything himself. My hope fed something in him. My waiting gave him a sense of power, and as long as I was focused on the future he kept promising, I was not noticing that the present was empty. I kept thinking about day 1, that perfect day in the coffee shop when he asked me all those questions. I thought he was getting to know me. Now I understand he was collecting data. Every dream I shared became a promise he could make. Every fear I confessed became a weakness he could use. The biggest warning sign I missed was how perfectly he mirrored everything I wanted. He did not have his own vision. He just took mine and reflected it back. The house with the porch, the kids, the Sunday morning coffee, the reading nook, those were all my dreams that I shared with him on day 1. He just repackaged them and sold them back to me. Real people have their own dreams that might overlap with yours or might require compromise. But he had nothing original. He was just a mirror showing me what I wanted to see, so I would stay. The way he eroded my reality was so gradual, I did not see it happening until I was drowning in doubt. On day one, if he had called me unhinged for wanting consistency, I would have walked away. But by day 85, he had been training me for months. First, he made me doubt my small concerns, then my reasonable questions, then my memory, then my sanity. The fact that I started needing to screenshot conversations should have been the clearest sign. When you feel like you need to build a legal case just to trust your own experience, someone is messing with your head. And the way he stayed so composed when I got upset, that was calculated. He would push my boundaries, cancel a plan, disappear, break a promise, and when I reacted, he would stay eerily calm. He would use my emotion as proof that I was the unstable one. He wanted me to react emotionally because when I reacted, he could point to my emotion as the problem instead of addressing his behavior. But here is what I need you to understand. You cannot logic your way out of this. You cannot communicate your way out of this. You cannot love this person without changing. I tried all of it. Nothing worked because nothing was supposed to work. I could not fix him because he did not think anything was broken. So here is what you need to do if you recognize yourself in any part of this story. You have to accept reality as it is, not as you wish it were. The person you fell in love with on day one does not exist. That person was a character he played because he needed something from you. And he is not going to change because this system works for him. You also have to accept that you will never get closure from him. He will never admit what he did. He will never apologize in a way that feels real. That moment does not exist in real life with people like this. Once you accept these truths, you have to protect yourself. Go gray rock immediately. This saved my life. Gray rock means you become as boring as a gray rock. You stop sharing your emotions. You stop sharing your wins and losses. Keep conversations surface level only. Weather, logistics, nothing personal. You are starving him of what he has been feeding on. When he texts you about the future, do not engage. Do not argue. Just say, okay, or I will think about it. Fighting gives him what he wants. Explaining gives him ammunition. Do not justify, argue, defend, or explain. The moment you do, you are playing his game again. Gray rock is about protecting your real self by only showing him the most surface-level version of you. Document everything, but do it for yourself. Keep a journal, save texts, screenshot promises, not because you are going to prove anything to him. He does not care about evidence. This is because you need to prove it to yourself. When he tries to gaslight you again, you will have your anchor to reality. If you can go no contact, do it immediately. Block him everywhere. He will text you months later with apologies or emergencies or new promises. He will tell you he has changed. He will describe that future again, even more vividly. Do not fall for it. The future was never real. He has not changed. He is just trying a new tactic. If you cannot go no contact because you share kids or work together, gray rock becomes even more critical. Keep everything in writing. Keep conversations strictly about logistics. The hardest part is building indifference. Indifference is not the same as anger. Anger means you still care. Indifference means you have genuinely stopped caring what he thinks, what he does. Indifference is freedom. You get there by rebuilding your life without him. Reconnect with friends, invest in hobbies, create new memories that do not include him. Little by little, he will take up less space in your head. Learn the warning signs so you never miss them again. Love bombing, mirroring, promises that come too fast, someone more, invested in talking about the future then building the present. Vague timelines that keep shifting. Trust your gut earlier next time. That twist I felt on day 15, that was my intuition screaming. I ignored it because I wanted the fantasy to be real. Rebuild your trust in yourself. The most damaging thing is not that he lied. It is that he made you doubt yourself. He made you question your memory, your perceptions, your sanity. Go back through your documentation. Read your journal. Look at the evidence. See the pattern clearly. You were not unhinged. You were not paranoid. You were being manipulated, and you were right to question it. Forgive yourself for staying as long as you did. I stayed because I kept my promises. I stayed because I believe in working through problems. I stayed because I am loyal. Those are good qualities. He just exploited them. Do not let his manipulation turn you bitter. The problem was not that you believed in the future. The problem was that you believed someone who was lying about it. On day 91, I blocked his number. I did not send a goodbye message. I just disappeared from his life the way he had been disappearing from mine, except permanently. He tried to reach me, emails, social media. He even showed up at my apartment once. I did not engage. Gray rock every single time. It has been months now. The promises he made have not come true. The timeline passed. If I had stayed, I would still be waiting. I would still be making excuses. I would still be hoping that maybe next month, next year, eventually. Instead, I am building a real life, not a fantasy. A real, tangible life with real people who show up consistently. It is not as thrilling as the fake future he sold me. It is better because it is real. If you see yourself in my story, hear me clearly. You are not out of your mind. You are not too demanding. You are not too sensitive. Your need for consistency is not controlling. Wanting someone to match their actions to their words is the bare minimum. Stop waiting for him to become the person he pretended to be. That person never existed. Start planning your exit right now. Start documenting. Build your support system. Protect your reality. Practice gray rock. Move toward indifference. Choose yourself. The future he promised you was fake, but your future is real. It is waiting for you on the other side of this. You just have to be brave enough to walk away from the fantasy and toward what is true. This is the pattern I finally saw on day 90. This is the pattern I broke, and you can break it too. You already have everything you need. You just have to stop giving it away to someone who never valued it. And listen, if this resonated with you, if you felt that recognition in your gut while reading this, you are not alone. There are thousands of us who have walked this path, who have seen this pattern, who have had to choose ourselves. Hit that subscribe button because I'm going to keep sharing these stories, keep breaking down these tactics, and keep giving you the tools you need to protect yourself. Like this video, if it helped you see something clearly that you have been trying to name. Drop a comment and tell me what day you are on, whether you are on day 15, feeling that first twist, or day 90, finally seeing the whole picture. We are building a community here of people who refuse to be manipulated, who trust their guts, who choose reality over fantasy. You deserve someone who builds the future with you instead of dangling it in front of you. You deserve consistency. You deserve honesty. You deserve someone who makes you feel more sure of yourself, not less. And if the person you are with is not giving you that, you already know what you need to do. Be brave. Choose yourself. I will be here when you are ready to talk about it.